Okay guys, so we're back. In this segment of the tutorial I'm going to teach you guys how we can use the text cubes to implement text into and have custom cubes with your own text in and animate from normal to lit, sort of flashing up versions of that text. And we can duplicate that comp, of course, just like before, and put it in several places at once. So in order to do that, I'm gonna get my text cube. And you know what, before we actually change anything, I might as well just do what I've been doing thus far in the tutorials. I'm going to Control C, Control V, and make a copy, and I'll drop it into my user customized cubes, and I'm just going to call it text cube nested 1080, and I'll just call it text cube cube love, because that's what I'm going to write as text. I haven't seen enough cubes recently, so written cube twice. Okay, cube love. Yeah, I haven't seen enough cubic shaped things recently apparently, so I'm gonna spread some cube love. Okay, so I can close this one off now because we've already got a nice duplicate to work with, copy shall I say. Now at the moment it says text cube. As you can see, it does this, it does the little spin from before, and then it animates from an unlit version, the turquoise, to the lit version, which is like neon yellow. And it does some funky things, all of which you can control and animate here. But the only difference in this version is that there's two, because you've got the lit one as well, which is slightly different, because when it animates from one to the other, which is called an animation ratio, which goes from 0 to 100, we're basically going between this and this. We're going 0 to 100, 0 back to 100, back to 0. Where is that setting? It's in the global settings and controls. So we have our text ratio here. If I go back to the beginning, we'll start at the beginning, like all good stories. We'll change the text and we'll call it cube love. There we go, that's our custom text. And ooh, my recordings is making my laptop a little janky. Okay, so just like before, we can turn on the box bit. If we wish, we can change the colour. I think we will. I think we'll make it yellow. We'll make the colour accent colour, by the way, is the frame. Oh, that's a bit pale, isn't it? Let's make it vibrant, lime yellow, something like that. Yeah, cool. So that is our frame. As before, you can turn on and off the text like so. The only difference in this one is obviously there's a few extra parameters here for pan and tilt. Now these can be affected if you've got animation on these two controllers. It applies the pan and tilt over the top of those, so be aware of that. If you've got it doing like a funky spin and you tell it to pan and tilt, it's not going to always do it forward and backwards, so make sure you check. So I'll just demonstrate for you what that looks like. I'm not going to run through all these other animated properties. I mean, it's all exactly the same thing. If you want it to scale, you press S and you change the scale, like so. So at the moment, if we go back to frame 1, we're on text ratio 0, which means we're normal. Text ratio 100 is lit. As you can see, normal and lit. The first one being turquoise, the second one being vibrant yellow. So the normal one is the one that's currently active. And if I were to scale it, you can see that's what it does. And if I were to go ahead to this one and try and scale it, it wouldn't change much because we're not on this one, we're not on the normal text, we're on the lit text. So that's what the animation does, and you can obviously see the keyframes here. We're just animating between the two, backward and forward, and because there's procedural and continual animation on each of these, it constantly looks like it's doing something different, which is obviously the vibes we want. Okay. Pan and tilt. So yeah, let me show you this. What we're going to do is we're going to drop our new cube, text love cube. We're going to drop it into place 7, which is the middle. Bada bing, bada boom. So I just want to show you summon. Okay, remember I alt dragged that as before, and as you can see, if we scroll through the timeline a little bit, it's all facing forward, it's facing in the right direction. Now, my cube's at a 45 to 45 degree angle. What if, for example, your design What if in your design you've got, I don't know, your cube's here, part of a stack, and it's not at 45, 45, it's actually almost flat. But if your cube were to look like this, you need to know whether the text is facing the right direction, because it's pretty important for whether it's legible or not, wouldn't you think? And as you can see, it isn't. I mean, it kind of is, but not really. So, how do we rectify that? That is what these extra parameters are for. So we've got tilt text, pan text. So if we put the tilt text back to 0, and we go back to here, let's check it, let's see what it looks like. See, now it's not tilted up and facing away from us, it's actually flat, which is good. Now we need to adjust the pan text. So if we go in here, it's actually looking away from us. So if we were to pan the text using this little parameter, background facing that way, it should be facing us now. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got that one cube in there, looks nice, I think. Let's make some totem poles, people. Let's make some big old poles. So, to do so, what we're going to do is we are gonna move another cube. Let's just add another 2 cubes. We're gonna do 9 and 10. We're gonna put 9 here, 10 here, and we're gonna make the pan and tilt all zeros. So pan cube 9, 0, pan cube 10, 0, tilts 9 and 10, 0 and 0. So they're all going to look like that, and they're all stacked up as if they're on top of one another. I mean, they're not quite on top of one another. We could do something like this, just to make it look like they're roughly in place for the sakes of this tutorial. Yeah, I mean, that'll do, won't it? Okay, so we want to add more text into these cubes. How do we do that? Just like before, grab the cube, text love, and you can Control C, Control V. Let's call it someone else. See, I'm running out of ideas of text now, so what do I call this one? Text cube. I mean, just go for the obvious. My name. Please, no one try getting into my Facebook. I promise you, it isn't password 123. It's actually not, but it was at one point. So anyway, user customized cubes. We'll drop it in there, and then number 9, I think it was 9 and 10. Let's drop it cane into there. It's going to look the same for the minute because we haven't changed anything. That's fine. I just want to know that it's dropped into the right place, which it is. And then we'll duplicate it again. Got Control C, Control V, rename it, and we'll call this Legend. Immediately after my name, obviously, because that's, you know, that's the place where you'd usually find those 2 words together. Okay, so user customized cubes, drop it in there, and we'll just drop alt drag and drop into cube 10, so it should stick it in here. Righty-ho, very simple stuff. Let's just change this to Legend, and let's just make it look slightly different. Let's change the colour to, let's make it look as garish as I possibly can, because that's always fun. Yellow, red, purple and blue. And then we'll go back to our main scene. Let it update. Legend. Now you can see it's a little bit big, isn't it? So we'll go back in here. Boop, boop. Global. And it's not in the global actually, it's in here. We want to change the scale, so I'll check scale. Remember, go to the start, make sure you're on a frame, and you can tell because there's little blue keyframe symbols here lit up. Double click, not double click, Control click, so you can select all the keys in the scale, and then just drag it down just a little bit because I don't want it to go over the edges of the cube because that would be unprofessional. And it should fit fairly nicely now. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Move forward a bit as well. Does it still go out? Tiny bit. I can deal with that. I could probably scale it a bit down a little bit more, but I won't. No, that's fine. I like that. Okay, so and this one, Kane. Let's add my name. Kane. Oh, I can't help myself. I have to. Kane is a legend. Okay, so we'll change this one to cyan and something else that looks despicably horrible. Cyan and orange. And what colour doesn't go with cyan and orange? Yellow. And we'll turn off the frame. We'll leave the frame on, we'll turn off the box side, so this looks markedly different. And we'll go back in. And now it shows Cube Love, Kane is a legend. Pretty sweet. Now, they all follow the same animation, but remember, if you don't want to go in and change all the keyframes in these to make it look really sort of tailored, which by all means you're free to do. In fact, I'd recommend doing that, because, you know, you want to impress your clients, you've got to put the time in. If you don't want to do that, and I'm just saying, just throwing this out there, you could just grab these two layers and shift them along a little bit and maybe shift one more, and then they would look markedly different because the keyframes are just offset from one another. So it now will all look slightly different. Maybe if I want legend to be big at this point. I almost want this to be small and these two to be big, so Kane is a legend. Let's just keep dragging it until it's bigger. Yeah, something like that. Remember, it's got a spin in it, which is what you're seeing. Okay, that's cool. Kane likes that. So, I like that so much, in fact, that what I want to do is copy the whole thing and put it over here. Now, what we don't actually have to do now is Control-C, Control-V, make copies, because all we need is an instance. I just want the same thing over there. So what we'll do is go up to here, and I don't know. Let's get rid of these top two cubes, which I believe to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 6. So 1 and 6 can now instead be over there. So we'll get 1, 6, and we'll turn on our final number 8. I know I'm not doing this chronologically, numerically, in a very satisfying way. If anyone's got OCD, I do apologise. Our numbers are all over the place, but who cares? Okay, so there they are. They're in the spot, and already my terrible memory is becoming an issue. We'll have to turn on IDs so I can remember which ones I need to change. So it's 1, 6 and something. 1, 6 and 8. Okay, so 1, we'll set that to 0. 6, we'll set the pan to 0. And 8, we'll set the pan to 0. And 1, again, we'll set to 0. We'll set 6 to 0 on the till, and we'll set 8 to 0 on the till. So it should all be flat, just like over there. Is that what we are seeing? Yes, it is. Now, isn't quite even because I just did it by eye. Maybe we could adjust that just a tiny little bit. So we'll bring this one down and right, and then 8 we'll bring down and right just a tad as well, and they should sort of line up roughly symmetric. Yeah, that'll do. Near enough, I think. I mean, if anything, we could just drag that this way a wee bit. Cool, so they're in the right spot, and we'll just do what we did earlier. We'll grab the exact same cubes, but maybe we'll put them in a different order. So maybe we'll put legend. No. Let's just stick to Kane as a legend, because obviously that's the best way to put it together. So we're going to grab text cube, Kane nested, which is number 6. Sorry, we want to put onto number 6. Legend, we want to put onto 8, so we'll grab number 8, legend. And 1, we want cube love. And there it is, my people. Obviously the offsets are all at the beginning for these, so they're going to look slightly different to the other side, but no issue, we can just get cube love. And we can see here that cube love's identical, that's fine. What about Kane is A, and Kane is A. So we're just going to drag the markers so they match the same spot. And finally, legend and legend. Now they're all at the same point in time, and if I was to play this, which I will, I'm going to load it into the cache in just a moment, you guys will see what it looks like. I'm just going to switch off the IDs. And maybe, do you know what I'll do? I'm going to replace these cubes with something that's a bit funner to look at. Just while I'm loading stuff into the cache to demonstrate to you guys what you can do with this, I might as well change the lookup a little bit as well. And then that ends this segment of the tutorial, guys. So I'm going to play that in a second and then end this segment, and we'll go into the next one, which is the fun one, the one you've all been waiting for, the 3D models. So I'll see you then. Thank you. And there we have it. Kane is a legend. Cube love. So we're going to jump into the next one now, and I'll see you there.